hype, launch, products, updates, tutorials, reviews. It's filmmaker pornography. We obsess over the details to improve our skills and master our craft. But this gear is expensive and often out of reach. And now, with the latest iPhone 13 that shoots cinematic mode and incredible video, it begs the important question: does gear even matter anymore? Or can you capture everything you need with a tool that fits inside your pocket?
Today we're talking about why gear doesn't matter.
Gear doesn't matter.
Gear doesn't matter.
And how those same people tell you gear doesn't matter, when in reality, gear is all they talk about.
I be cruising around in my hoopty-hoop, bumping 808s, I got them fruity loops.
Apple has created this incredible movement with the shot on the iPhone marketing scheme, and now has sort of migrated into their videos. When they introduced cinematic mode on their iPhone 13, they came out with a slew of advertisements that created this really beautiful image of what you can capture on an iPhone. Even other YouTubers had started creating iPhone cinematic videos, and for me, I was completely blown away with what this camera can capture. Considering even disregarding my main camera and buying a iPhone 13 to be able to capture these images. And while this advertises that you can capture these incredible images with the camera that can fit in your front pocket, there's a huge element to what they're not talking about. The production design, the lighting, the actors, the incredible sets that they have, the costuming, Academy Award-winning team behind the project, and the massive budget that they had to set these things up. But well, wait a minute, what about the other videos, things that are shot outdoors and more landscape style shots? Even those videos have incredible locations that they're filming at. So to say that it's not about the gear, in fact, it's all about the gear and resources and things that are available. Now, I don't want this to sort of discourage you about filmmaking or shooting on your iPhone. In fact, I think we live in an incredible time where we can capture so many things. But I just feel that it should be said that the advice of saying that it's not about the gear is kind of the most hypocritical advice a filmmaker can give to another filmmaker. Gear is actually everything behind a story. It's how you get ridiculous shots and iconic movements, incredible lighting, and amazing set designs. Every film that you've ever watched was reliant on gear in order to capture that thing. No, not necessarily the camera, but it did rely on incredible lighting, lenses, beautiful production design, hammers, nails, tools, things that create something more than just a single camera. I think us as filmmakers really love to focus on the certain piece of equipment that the film is captured on and kind of disregard all of the other elements that are important. If you're to take a look at the behind the scenes of shot on an iPhone videos, you'll recognize that the sets, lighting, even like little elements like the smoke or the production design are incredible. And even though these short films are shot on an iPhone by cinematographer Greg Fraser, you don't see him shooting Dune or the latest Batman movie using a cell phone. He's still using digital cameras and film cameras to capture these things because they're still the right tools. Well, first off, let's not discredit cell phones. They have definitely bridged the gap for a lot of filmmakers. They have incredible internal stabilization, shoot 4K, multiple frame rates. There's even apps you can download that can control aperture, white balance. These are things that traditionally big, expensive Hollywood cameras could do. And many cinematographers within this series, if you watch the behind the scenes, talk about this. The fact that back in the day, you needed film stocks and large cameras in order to capture the quality a cell phone can capture. That barrier for entry was so much harder for up-and-coming filmmakers to cross, and not even just the industry standard, just what the industry asked of. To illustrate it just a little bit more, this video is shot on my $6,500 camera setup. While this setup is shot on my cell phone, which is a $1,000 camera, maybe like a $500 camera with all the other bells and whistles that are attached to what a cell phone actually has. But you can tell there's a difference, and these differences should not be disregarded. In fact, I'd argue that they should be leaned into. The reality is cell phones create an amazing quality that is almost impossible to capture with your regular camera. Yes. And I've know this because I've experienced shooting several films on my cell phone. You can take a look at them in the description below. While filming those, what I recognized is you can capture certain moments that your regular camera can't capture. In order to bring out a big old camera, set up the lens, put the microphone on, and do yada 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 takes a lot of time. And any cinematographer will agree that a big bulky camera takes time to set up. It's planning. The shots that you see in the latest Batman movie or within Dune took time to prep. In comparison to maybe something that you capture on your cell phone, you can capture it right then and there. The turnaround time is much faster. Now, while you might not be seeing the latest blockbuster being shot on a cell phone, many documentaries have used footage from phones in order to play out within the film. One of my favorite examples of this is the Billie Eilish documentary, which you can see on Apple TV, which, you know, part of it maybe is like a marketing scheme for Apple that they use cell phone footage within it, but I honestly believe that that footage feels good because it's personal, it's in the moment. So while maybe these cell phones hold less of a position on Hollywood sets, there might be a spot for them in documenting the moments that big cameras just can't fit in the space for. There's one element that cell phones can capture above any other cinema camera, and it's the feeling of authenticity. There's a certain element or charm to shooting on lower end cameras that just big, expensive, clean-cut shots don't provide. You're even seeing cinematographers like Greg Fraser, who I brought up earlier, breaking down their shots in Hollywood movies in order to give them grit, a realistic flavor. Yes, the Batman had scenes shot on an iPhone, and those moments were the sort of webcam style shots between the Riddler, and they felt gritty and honest. And in fact, the division between super clean cut, semi-clean cut, and cell phone footage grounded the audience in sort of a realistic flair. So there is a position of these lower end cameras where we can start using to create a relatability. But if you're using the cameras to capture sort of the image to which Catherine Bigelow captured in her short film, there is a huge barrier for entry. That's not camera. It's the other elements that make a production. It's production design, it's sets, it's backdrops, it's lenses, it's lighting. These crucial elements of creating a film are disregarded in all processes of filmmaking and prioritized with camera. If you look at the films that I brought up, it's the backdrop that was the most interesting. My short film, Cross Canada, the quality would have felt terrible if I was shooting in a dark room the whole time, but I was in outdoor, exterior, extravagant locations that really made the film elevated. And there is an element of storytelling that can also boost production value. Clean audio, great story, and the audience can sort of disregard sort of poor shooting. I'll provide the example of Christopher Nolan's Following. His first film, what his priority was to do the opening of the film shooting clean cut and cinematic, which is like this really nice interview setup that looks really good. And then the rest of the movie's kind of like documentary style, but since the beginning was shot so well, he hooked the audience in with the quality and the story, and so therefore you kind of disregarded the rest of the cinematic quality throughout the movie. If you don't believe me, watch the film and let's have an argument about it in the comment section below. Quality does have a space within cinema, and disregarding that is sort of just being ignorant to how movies are made. There's a certain feeling when we see a cinematic shot, something with depth, something with grit and grain. There's a reason why filmmakers are shooting on higher end cameras. To disregard that part of the process is sort of just like saying it doesn't matter. But the final thing I want to share is that you can accelerate your filmmaking by leaning into what you actually have. And I don't recommend, putting your priority into buying the next big expensive camera, because there is no point to do that either. I find that right now the argument is sort of on two extremes. Either you have the really good stuff, or you don't really need anything, you can go out there, but the reality is it kind of lays in the middle. You need a little bit of something to make something, and I would recommend striving towards that, but not overly focusing on it. It's not about the camera is a very true statement. It's about all of the other elements that we think about when we make a movie. And if you can focus on those elements over the camera, then you're really going to take your stuff to the next level. Whether or not you have cinematic mode, multiple lenses on your cell phone, or the latest Red Epic, those will all fall short if you don't focus on the fundamentals of filmmaking. If you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about leaning into what you actually have as opposed to what's advertised what you should have, it's something that I find is always marketed to us up and coming filmmakers. I've created my first ever book, which kind of talks more specifically about this, leaning into what you actually have as opposed to what people want you to buy. And if you're interested in figuring out your authentic voice, learning about your originality through the limitations that you actually have, then I recommend taking a look at my first ever book that I've ever written. This is The Unoriginal Guide to Being Original. I'm so excited to announce it in this video and talk about it. I've been working 3 years heavily on this project, and finally, it's almost ready to print. So if you're wanting to support this channel in any sort of way, that would be the best way to do so. Let's join a bit of a wait list. I've created sort of an email list that you can join for when the book is published. It'd be absolutely incredible to get your support. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching me babble on about this. If you have any opposing opinions about this, I would love to hear it. Write in the comment section below, and let's talk about this more in future videos or comments and stuff. I love you. Goodbye.